On October 23, 2013, California State Assembly member from District 22, Kevin Mullin, and San Mateo County Supervisor Warren Slocum hosted the first annual Connect13 conference at YouTube headquarters in San Bruno, California. Strengthening communities through social media was the theme, bringing together social media experts and San Mateo County attendees from business, public, and government sectors to discuss the opportunities and challenges of using social media to communicate, collaborate, legislate, and participate. Peninsula Television is proud to bring you this conference, and all of the segments are available on YouTube and at www.pentv.tv/Connect13.
What better way to continue that than by diving in and learning more about social media platforms? We wanted to offer a primer so that we can discuss social media throughout the day. We're all grounded on some of the essentials. Our panel includes subject matter experts on the social media tools that millions of us use each day. And I'm proud to add that if the companies and products discussed are not headquartered in San Mateo County, they are at our borders. The panel members will be introduced shortly, but first I'd like to introduce our moderator, Rosanne Foust. For those of you that don't know Rosanne, this is someone you have to meet. Rosanne is the president and CEO of SamCETA, which I'm happy to say is one of our Connect13 sponsors today. SamCETA was founded in 1953 to promote business issues that enhance and sustain the economic prosperity of San Mateo County and the Greater Bay region. In addition, Rosanne is a past mayor and current council member in Redwood City. She is the immediate past chair of the San Mateo County Transportation Authority and serves as board trustee of the Bay Area Council Economic Institute, board member of the San Francisco Bay Restoration Authority, deputy chair of the Redwood City San Mateo County Chamber of Commerce, chair of Peninsula TV, which is with us today taping this presentation, and serves on several other boards of local nonprofits. For the past 3 years, Rosanne has been honored by the San Francisco Business Times as one of the most influential women in business in the Bay Area. Rosanne lives in Redwood City with her husband and 2 daughters. Please join me in welcoming Rosanne Foust.
Everyone, how are you today? We have 4 panelists that are going to join us for the Leaning Into Social Media 101. So I'm going to ask each of them to come up. We have Jordan, Brandon. We have Brandon first. So Brandon, we have Brandon, we have Jordan, we have Ramya, and we have Kriselle. So what I'd like you to do, their bios are available for you, and I have lots of great information. I mean, we have UCLA, we have New York University, we have YouTube, we have Facebook, we have Zeno Group, we have Google. So we've got it all represented here. But what I'd like each of you to do is just share, to start off with, 3 parts, 3 just bullet points of your bio that you would like the audience to remember. Because there's a lot of information in your bios. You're very accomplished. You're well respected in your industry. But I thought it would be fun for each of you to share the top 3 things that you feel the audience should know. So Brandon, let's start with you, our YouTube host today.
Sure. Is my microphone on? Can everyone hear me? Excellent. So I'm glad I get to go first here. Are we doing 3 things about ourselves or our products?
Let's try 3 things about yourself first, and then you're each going to have about 10 minutes to share the YouTube story. I know it'll only take 10 minutes, really.
Of course, yes.
So then we'll go into the specific organizations and companies that you represent.
Perfect. So my name is Brandon Feldman. My first bullet is that I look after news, politics, and public policy partnerships here at YouTube. My second bullet is that I help those organizations build audience and develop programming that resonates with a generation of viewers that are looking for something different when it comes to being entertained and informed. And my third bullet is that I'm proud to be hosting all of you at our beautiful headquarters here in San Bruno, California.
Thank you, Brandon, very much. See, I think it fits into what our former speaker, what Charlene was touching on. What is it that you want the audience to know? So thank you for sharing that.
Sure.
Now we have Jordan.
Yes, hi everybody. My name is Jordan, and I work at Facebook on education and outreach to elected officials, so helping them use our platform to do outreach to their constituents. And I also run a program here in California, which is we do small business and safety road shows. So the small business event, we'll get outreach to the chambers, and we'll put about 100 small business owners in a room and go through a PowerPoint presentation on how to use Facebook's platform best to communicate with their customers. And then also the safety event, which is for teachers, educators, parents, to understand some of the issues surrounding safety and privacy on Facebook and how they can proactively choose the audience that they want to share information with, and sort of how our safety team works to keep users safe online. My background is kind of actually doing the technology stuff for elected officials. So back in 2010, I was an intern at the White House New Media Office. So before, they've actually changed the name now to Digital Strategy. So it was that 2-year window. We'll look back in history, and it'll be called New Media. But it's all media now, and I think it's important to not be getting rid of the mediums that you've been using to do outreach, but it's just adding social media into the fabric of what you do on a daily basis. So yeah.
Thank you, Jordan. Ramya?
Hi, everyone. I'm Ramya Raghavan, and I look after political and cause partnerships at Google+. I've been there since January, and some of the types of things I've worked on is our Fireside Hangout series with the president, the first lady, the vice president, which I'll talk about, and then also, working with local government, so up and down, government to help them succeed on Google+. Second bullet would probably be that I spent 5 years here at YouTube looking after nonprofits and political partnerships and news partnerships. And then third, like Jordan, I have experience on the political and issue-based campaign side of the house. So I have kind of sat where you're sitting, and that has helped me kind of create products and programs that work well for partners.
Thank you, Ramya. Kriselle?
Hi, so I'm Kriselle Laran, and I am not from one of the big three, but actually started my foray into social back in 2007 when I got a call from Warren when I was working at the elections office, and he said, there's something called Twitter out there. Can you find out what that is? What can we do with it? And since then have just built a career around that. Right now I'm actually overseeing digital strategy for clients at Zeno Group, which is a PR agency located right here in Redwood Shores. So hoping that I can bring some of my understanding and knowledge from practicing building social strategies for governments and school districts and other businesses to the discussion.
Great, thank you, Kriselle. So what I want to do for our 4 panelists, because they're going to each give a more detailed overview of their various companies and activities. And then we have 2 questions that we'd like to pose to each of them. But first of all, to help them out, how many in the room have been on YouTube more than 10 times?
Good, excellent.
Great. So how many have not, I probably should have put it that way, been on YouTube at all or less than 5 times? Okay. How about Facebook? Who has a Facebook account in the room? Who does not have a Facebook account?
It's okay.
He forgives you, and he will help you after break. So how many have used Google+, either in their personal or business life? Okay. And then how many will be looking up Zeno Group after we leave this? So let's go into, I'm going to start with Ramya, and I'm going to have you just give us a little bit more in-depth knowledge of Google+, and actually how it could help our audience.
Sure. Well, I actually, I have a few slides, but
Yes.
I'm happy to run through them, or?
That would be great.
Okay, great. So, okay, so just starting to talk about Google+ user momentum. So we're a young social network. We've only been around for about 2 years. But over that time, we've seen a lot of growth. And this chart is unfortunately actually a little bit out of date. But you can see the trajectory here in terms of the number of users that have begun using Google+. So, and then a lot of people say, okay, that's great, you have a lot of accounts, but how many of those folks are actually active? So here are just some stats that you can look at. People are spending, 12 minutes per day in their stream. There are 190 million 30-day actives, and we've seen over 2.5 million Google Plus pages created, a lot of which have been created by politicians, nonprofit organizations, et cetera. And we're growing rapidly. So one of the value propositions for Google Plus is we are really the social spine for Google. What does that mean? You've probably seen that maybe Google Plus is now integrating into your YouTube comments, or you may see an annotation in search about a friend liking a particular page or article. So Google Plus is really starting to weave itself into the fabric of a lot of different products on Google, and this is kind of helping to make each Google product a little bit better. So the first thing is establishing your presence on Google Plus. Getting started. And we can definitely follow up with you after about how to create a page. It's important to know the distinction between a page and a profile. A profile is something that I would create. I would attach it to my own personal Gmail account, and it's something that I'm going to update every day. Maybe it's, I ate cereal today, you know, I hung out with my friends. Your page is your public-facing profile, and you can have multiple administrators tapping into a page. So maybe you have your digital director and your social media person and your communications person. They can all use their individual Gmails to then add to your page. So for most kind of public-facing offices, I would recommend that you create a page as opposed to a profile. You can also create both. If you have an existing YouTube account, it connects beautifully with your Google Plus account. You just want to make sure that you use that same login information. And then we're going to talk a little bit about communities and Hangouts on Air later, so I won't get into too much detail on that. One thing people ask a lot about is how does Google Plus interact with search? Like I said, when you've been searching on Google Plus and you get when you've been searching on Google and you get results, you may have seen that there are little annotations. So it may say Brandon Feldman liked this article or this page, and so that may cause someone to kind of click on that as well. And so by creating a presence on Google Plus, you're starting to own this conversation. The other thing that you'll see here that's called out is a little kind of Google Plus box. We actually call them knowledge cards that will appear in the right side of Google search for major brands, major politicians, et cetera. And this will have information. Sometimes this information is sourced through something like Wikipedia, but you actually, through linking it with your Google Plus profile, may have the ability to showcase your recent posts on Google Plus. You have the ability to have people follow you on Google Plus right from your search results page. So this is Bernie Sanders here. That picture of smiling Bernie right there, he picked that picture. It wasn't driven by the internet. That's his Google Plus profile picture. So it allows you to have a little bit more control of Google search results, which is something that everyone on the internet is looking for. I should note that with Google search, a knowledge card may appear. It is not guaranteed to appear for certain queries. And so that's something to know. And then connecting with constituents. Who here knows what a Hangout is? So a Hangout is it's a web face-to-face web chat for up to 10 people. And there are two types of Hangouts. The first is a regular Hangout. So the four of us could hop in a Hangout and talk about what we did today, and that would be totally private. It's just among us. And then there's another option called Hangout on Air, where if you press the on air button or start broadcasting, you can actually live stream right to YouTube your conversation. And this is where things get really exciting for politicians, because you can start to do things like this. Fireside Hangouts, where the president actually hopped in a Hangout with 5 other citizens and answered questions back and forth about the issues that he discussed in his State of the Union address. And for the first time ever, not only were citizens able to ask a question, he was able to respond, and then a conversation ensued. It was much more of a back and forth. And so this type of dialogue, which hadn't been done before, has received praise from both sides of the aisle. And it's not just been done at the presidential level. Members of Congress are doing it. The city council in Columbia, Missouri actually does their city council meetings through town hall, through Google Plus Hangout, so that they can help elderly people who maybe can't make it to the meeting actually tap in, which is really cool.
So who's going to be the first council in San Mateo County? Anyone want to call out a name? I'm not seeing them jump, but we will.
Yeah, and I'm happy to discuss with you guys how we might be able to help you guys get set up with Hangouts. It's actually really easy once you get going, but I can understand that there's a little bit of a learning curve. So Google Plus communities. This is a place where people can get together and talk about their interests. We really think about Google Plus as an interest graph. So people are getting together to talk about a certain football team or their love of politics. And two communities that we've seen spring up are the Conservative Union on the right and Sensible Politics on the left. And Sensible Politics actually does hangouts with elected officials. So you've got this group of people who have said, yep, I'm interested in politics, and now we want to talk to elected officials. So people are actually segmenting themselves into interest-based communities on Google Plus that you guys can tap into and say, hey, I'd actually like to talk to you and hear what you have to say. There are also state-based, communities, so you can look through. We don't have as many kind of micro I would love to see more neighborhoods and more kind of city-level communities pop up. So maybe I'll throw that back out to you, that it would be great to see people kind of organizing in even more of a micro level on Plus. This is a little bit about how Governor Markle actually jumped into a hangout with Sensible Politics and had a pretty frank discussion. Some of the comments were, we really loved your frank answers today. So people want this kind of really genuine conversation. So posting. I think, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on posting because you're probably posting a lot on Facebook and Twitter and Google Plus already. But a few things to just note about Google Plus. It's a really visual medium. So if you've been on there, you've noticed that the pictures and videos really do dominate the stream. And so there are ways that you can take advantage of that. If you upload a high-resolution photo to your post, it's actually, it has the chance of showing up really large in the stream and attracting a lot of attention from your followers. So maybe thinking about that when you craft your strategy. And then also, it's always tempting to kind of post everything to all three of the networks and say, like, OK, I'm done for the day. But actually taking the time to think about what content might resonate with which network has worked well. So NASA, obviously, I will put a grain of salt on this one because not everyone has beautiful aerial images of space to share. But they've done a great job because they post regularly and they lift the hood. They give people an idea of what's happening behind those walls. Nancy Pelosi is another person from right here in San Francisco who does a great job. One of the things she's done with pictures is she gives people a view of her, back in the day or a more personal life. So she's tapped into that Throwback Thursday trend where she shows pictures of herself as a teenager or as a young mother and really gives that a picture of that side of herself. The last thing I'm going to mention is we're all, always thinking about how do we earn media. And so one thing I saw that I thought was really smart from the mayor of Los Angeles is he actually did a press conference through Hangout. So for journalists who weren't able to join him when he announced the new City of LA website, he had them join through Hangout. He answered questions, and it was a press roundtable. And we're seeing people do this with movie premieres, when they're dropping a new album. And so this is really starting to get popular. And then the last thing is just who here has seen Huffington Post Live? Okay. I would definitely recommend checking it out because they actually get hundreds of millions of views on their content, and they have been tapping into Google Plus Hangouts to bring real people into the conversation. So media outlets are starting to actually use Hangouts regularly, in their broadcasts, and so becoming comfortable with it, having your representative become comfortable with it, or your executive director is going to help them when someone says, "Oh, can you join us by Hangout?" And you can say, "Oh yeah, we do that all the time, no problem." So it's a good skill to have. I will just say you can learn more at this site. And then if you need help, with Hangouts or anything else, my team is available at govt@google.com.
Thank you, Ramya. That was fabulous. And hopefully we will post up that contact information. I see everyone nodding. So we'll have the contact information that each of the speakers on the website, the Connect13 website. So I'm going to ask Jordan Hart from Facebook to jump in.
Well, thank you, and thank you everyone for being here today. And so at Facebook, we've been building our user base for a number of years now, and right down the road. But Facebook's mission is to make the world more open and connected. And I think something that inspires me is this potential for governments to bring a transparency to the services that you provide and connect with people in your local communities in a way that was never really possible as far as this public forum and building an audience of people. So I'm just going to talk about some of the best practices, and then I'm happy to go into some more specifics if people have questions. So the broad overview is that Facebook, it's taken us about 9 years to get to over 1 billion users around the world. But within just 4 years, we've gotten to over 680 million people using Facebook through their mobile phones. And so a lot of the best practices that we recommend now for government officials, anyone operating a Facebook page to communicate with their audience, is to be thinking about how people will be accessing this material when they're on the go using their mobile phones. So as far as that's actually very similar to Google Plus in that we have both profiles and pages. And a profile is something that I connect with my friends on Facebook with. There are some elected officials who have their own profile. They're connected to people in their community. But as far as an office managing social media, really a Facebook page is the way to go. So similar to Google Plus, you could have your digital director and your social media person using their Facebook profiles to be admins to the Facebook page. So for all of the people in this room, if you haven't set up something for Facebook for your office, I would recommend starting with a Facebook page. And if you've already started using a profile, you can convert that profile into a page by going to facebook.com/help and searching for converting a profile to a page. So getting into it, as far as the best practices for posting to your page, the things we recommend, and particularly with an eye for a mobile audience, people spend roughly 40% of their time on Facebook just scrolling through their newsfeed. And newsfeed is basically everybody's own personalized newspaper. So you can imagine that if you're posting something that isn't compelling and it's sandwiched between two really compelling pieces of content from somebody's parents and their best friend, that it's going to get kind of buried in their peripheral view. So like Google Plus, it's a very visual medium, and we would recommend using photos and videos as often as possible. We've seen that they get roughly 120% more engagement for videos and 180% more engagement for photos. And also keeping the text relatively short. So content that has characters between 100 to 250 characters gets about an 80% higher engagement than content that has a much longer text on that post. So definitely thinking about how you can have this really visual post with a very short and sweet message, whether it's sort of the announcement of what the photo is related to, and then an action for the person to take, such as go to this link to find out more information, or comment with your opinion about this photo. Having that direct action that they can take in that post will help drive engagement with the post and make it really useful for people in their newsfeed. And next is that you keep things timely and relevant. So obviously when there's a big rollout that you're having, is a great time to be posting more often than you would be otherwise, because people are looking to be hearing from your office in that time. So around the time when the Bay Bridge opened, if transportation offices probably had a little bit more leeway to post a lot more often than they otherwise would be, because people were looking for information from their government, from the services that they need to know about where they should be going on their commute and that sort of thing. But also, coming up with some sort of cadence that you can have for a regular content posting schedule is a really useful tool, particularly if social media seems daunting and it's something that's added on top of your already enormous responsibilities in your job. Having that cadence of regular posting really helps to kind of make it just another thing that you do during your day. So we actually have the ability to schedule posts. So if there is some time during the day that is really easy for you, but you don't necessarily want to post at that time because it won't be the time that people engage the most with your page, you can schedule a post from your Facebook page by clicking the little clock that's just next to the post button. So next then, I wanted to move on from best practices to our Insights tool. So for those of you who haven't been using Facebook pages, Insights if you haven't been using the Insights section of your Facebook page, or if you haven't looked at it recently, we've actually updated this and rolled out a new product version of our Insights tool that has a lot of really useful visual graphs that show how well your content has done and give you insight about what you should be doing going in the future. So I can sit and tell you here all these best practices, but for every single page, there's going to be a different reaction to the types of content that you post than for another page. So the best way to be optimizing for what you do in the future is to look at those insights and actually see it in the numbers, that this post with a photo did much better than this post without a photo, or that this post at 6 p.m. did much better than this post at 3 p.m. And that's actually moving on another part of the Insights tool that we're really excited about. One of the questions that we got most often from page admins was, how do I know what time of day I should be posting on my page? And our answer was sort of that there is a general practice that the evening works best for people, but that everybody's page is different and that you should be doing what works best for your page. But now in the new Insights tool, we've actually rolled out a graph that shows over the time of day and for every day of the week what time your Facebook fans on your page are accessing Facebook. So whether or not they're looking at your page, you can see how many of them are on Facebook at any one time, and this will help to optimize what time of day that you want to be posting. So for instance, let's say that the best time of day is to post for your page is 6 p.m. That scheduling tool comes in really handy because no one wants to be at work, typing in a Facebook post when you could be at home. So, using these two tools, the Insights and some of the tools that we've built for posting to optimize for the future. And finally, I'm really excited to be here in a room with a bunch of people who have the potential to really change how you interact with, government interacts with citizens. So I think at Facebook we have this mantra about everything that we do, which is, what would you do if you weren't afraid? And a lot of social media for a lot of people is, it's exciting, but it's nerve-wracking because you're opening these doors of conversation in a very public forum in ways that maybe haven't been done before. So I think the real question is to think about what you can do to open these lines of communication in a way that's really valuable for your constituents and for the public in a way that really we've never had. So, yeah.
Thank you very much, Jordan. I hear somebody whistling. That was great. I think that was a thumbs up. Kriselle?
Because I'm not representing Twitter necessarily, I want to talk a little bit more about how we use Twitter at the elections office when I was back there during the 2008 presidential election, and a little bit about what I've found using Twitter for government, and then how I implemented that into businesses and what I found from there. So I mentioned earlier that in 2007, I started working at the elections office, and it was thankfully under Warren Slocum, because without him, I know I wouldn't be where I am right now. And like I said, he gave me a call and he said, there's something called Twitter out there. I want to learn more about that. We're doing video right now, but can you figure out what we can do with it? And I had no idea what it was at the time, even though it had been out for already over a year. And I said, sure, I think I've heard of it. And I just, utilized Google and tried to figure out what it was and what I can do and what people were saying on there. And the first thing that we did was, we started following a bunch of people that were in San Mateo County. And we figured out who they were based off of what they were talking about, what their profiles said, and really what they were interested in. And one of the things that I found was that, and I should have known this already, is that this county is just an amazing bed of people, just so knowledgeable about technology. There's people that like Robert Scoble and Guy Kawasaki and Charlene Lee, who we heard from today, that are all home-based here in the county. And they're all talking about all these wonderful technologies that are available to us and all of these things that could really affect our communities. And Twitter was one of those ways that we could actually hear what they were talking about and see what they were educating others on, and really figure out how to tie that into what we were doing. So we took their lead. After really understanding what it was that people were responding to, we started telling people about what we were doing in the elections office. And it was, to me at the time, it seemed like really mundane things, but people were really interested. Like, they wanted to know when precinct ballots came in, or they wanted to know when people, when the I don't even know if I know the terms anymore, but like the red bags, when they would start to get filled with ballot supplies and get brought out to the precincts, they really wanted to understand what was going on. And the reason for that is because it was never as transparent as it became. You know, people never really understood what went in to building an election. And by utilizing Twitter and directing all of this, you know, web search and web traffic onto our blog and websites and other things like that, people were really able to get an inside look at how elections ran. And that was something that was incredibly new at the time. Again, Twitter was only about a year old, so people didn't really understand that all of a sudden there was an avenue for them to be able to communicate with the government, with the elections office, and then really understand how it is that the county worked so that they could make a better impact. And then everything that we did at the elections office, it really drove just the way that we ended up communicating with all of our with all the people in the county, whether that became, you know, developing content for the blog so that not only can they get these 140 character tweets of what we're doing for that day, but they can see pictures and they can understand the process better, and they can just get even more of a deep look at the elections office. They could also start talking to us, asking us questions, finding out what it was that we were doing, and then we were able to immediately respond. So we just found that Twitter really just impacted everything that we were doing in the elections office, and it helped us catapult the office from something that was just, you know, buried in the hills of Belmont, San Mateo area, and something that became just completely accessible to people. And that's really what I found that people are looking for. As Charlene mentioned earlier, people are really looking for that transparency in government. They really want to understand, you know, what is it that these people that we elected are doing? Are they really doing something for the community? Is there something that can be more impactful? How can I better contribute? And Twitter was really an avenue for us to help the community realized that they could do something. You know, they could, you know, go out there and ask questions. They could go out there and make comments. And there were people in the government, their elected officials, that were right there ready to respond and make action, as opposed to feeling like they had to write a letter and it would take days or weeks or months or maybe never have any action afterwards. So that's really where I found a real strong interest in finding out how social media in general can be more beneficial to the community. There's some great examples of what is happening right now. I actually am a resident of San Carlos, and I love the way that Brian Mora, actually, who's in the office, or in the here today, how he really started off the presence in San Carlos. One of the things he did was he started immediately following people that were registered businesses in San Carlos so that he could start promoting the community that way. He started telling people what the small businesses in San Carlos were doing so that the greater community can understand what's going on in their own city. Other things that they're doing is that there's all these alerts. You know, I don't know how many of you guys subscribe to the San Mateo County emergency alerts, but I have that, and I have the city of San Carlos on my phone so that I can immediately find out what's going on in the community if I need to understand any emergency or any news that might impact my personal life. And these are different things that people are doing, whether it be relaying information about traffic that might be happening, or construction, or an art and wine fair, or whatever it is that's going on in the city. We're starting to see more and more government agencies really relaying that information on Twitter so that the community can access that very quickly. While there are obviously other platforms that we can use, like Facebook and Google Plus and YouTube, Twitter, again, is one of those different kind of mediums where there's really just a specific kind of content that works for there. And really what it is, it's the real-time information. It's the immediacy of the content that you're putting out. It's being able to actively engage as opposed to just putting something out there and hoping people find it. And it's really a way for you to be able to show that, again, you're 100% easily accessible and that you are operating as a fully transparent government organization that people could feel like they can ask questions for and get the answers from right away. In terms of really figuring out how Twitter could better work for you, some of the things that I found is that government is really just like the private sector, in my experience. You know, there are strategies that you can implement and get the most out of what it is that you're trying to put out there. And in that sense, really, there's just that process that Charlene showed us earlier today really works regardless of if you're working with the private sector or the public sector. And the number one thing I would say is if you're not already on Twitter, you really go out there, figure out what it is that your people are saying, and start listening to what those conversations are. It doesn't matter if you actually have a Twitter account right now. You can still go out there and just listen. Just actively take part in what your community is saying just by simply searching for those terms that they might be discussing and searching for those conversations that might be relevant to you. And as you start looking at that, as you start looking at different hashtags like San Mateo or Redwood City or San Carlos or SF Bay Area, you'll start to find that people are really conversing and they're really searching for questions that only you might have the answer to. And that's a time where you can really jump in there and deploy and execute your strategy to become a greater part of the community and be able to make more impact. And then as you're starting to really delve in and start talking on there are a couple things that you really want to remember. One is that, yes, you absolutely want to engage. There are things that, again, you might have the answer to, or you might be able to relay the best information. And the more that you can do that, the greater the possibilities are for you to create that positive impact and less of a possibility for negative information to be, or incorrect information to be distributed. Other things that you definitely want to consider are really making sure that the amplification is a part of your strategy. You have news to share, you do have other content that you want to distribute, whether that be a blog or YouTube video or Facebook post, and you want to make sure that your Twitter presence is supporting that. You don't have to have the same exact content on every single platform, but you certainly want to make sure that if it's relevant to your Twitter audience, that you put it out there so that they can be directed to the greater information that you have to share. And then 3, of course, building the communities. The whole reason why we're here today is we want to find out how to better strengthen our communities through social. So what better way to do that than to take advantage of the digital platforms that are out there and take advantage of the fact that people are on their mobile device or on their computer for a large majority of their day and relay their information through there. Really encourage conversations amongst your residents to really be able to have them understand that you are there to support creating and building the community as opposed to just being there to create policy. And then the last thing in terms of ROI, really understanding what it is that you can get from this. With the public sector, it's a little bit different because you're not necessarily selling a product, but what you are selling is the idea that there could be a greater community and that social media can help to make those ties stronger. And what better way to do that than to really help people understand that there are people to reach out to and create and foster this better sense of communication amongst your residents. One of the things that I found really interesting about what Kevin and Warren said earlier today is they're starting to use Skype, they're starting to use all these other platforms for people to reach out to them. And again, Twitter is just one of those ways that you can continue to foster that community.
Thank you, Kriselle. I want to ask the audience before Brandon from YouTube is going to clean up and kind of wrap this discussion up so we can open it up for some questions. How many have tweeted since we've all been sitting up here?
Awesome.
Okay, that's fairly good. How many have been on their smartphone since we've been up here? Now let's be transparent. Okay, I see a few more hands coming.
How many are playing Words with Friends on
Or Candy Crush.
Candy Crush, right? Candy Crush
Okay,
Saga?
has anybody been playing Candy Crush?
No one's admitting to that.
I'll probably figure that out later. So we're going to have Brandon. They have touched on the 2 set questions, which were how these technologies can integrate with each other, and they've also touched on a little bit of how it affects us as elected officials and how we can use it. So I'm going to ask Brandon to kind of wrap up this discussion, and then we'll open it up for audience questions.
Excellent, thank you. So as the largest video platform on the web, that I would show a couple of videos if that's okay with all of you. Give you an overview of where we're at as a platform, share some best practices like the rest of my panelists have, and then just call out a couple of really exciting features that we've launched in recent months that would be relevant to each of your offices and agencies. As you all may know, earlier this year, we passed the 1 billion active user mark. We have 1 billion people coming to YouTube each month. They're watching 6 billion hours of video. 6 billion hours of video. and over 40% of those views are coming from mobile devices. So hopefully just goes to show how important all of those smartphones that are in front of you right now really are. We have about 100 hours of video being uploaded to YouTube every minute. 100 hours every minute. So I think the real question some of you may be asking is, well, that's a lot of video being watched, being uploaded. How do I stand out? And what's important for me to know as an office or an agency looking to reach my community? Well, I think it's important to think through what those stats actually mean. We actually have found that the majority of our growth is coming from the 18 to 34-year-old demographic, what we refer to as Generation C. Others call them the millennials or Gen Y. Amongst that demographic, we actually reach more viewers than any TV network. So amongst that 18 to 34-year-old demographic, our viewers see YouTube as their primary media consumption platform. And actually, I'm going to play two videos for you. One that just highlights how YouTube has become sort of the cultural water cooler amongst this audience. And the second will actually call out a few interviews that we've done with this 18 to 34-year-old demographic, talking about what online video means to them and why they come to the web to get information. So let's roll the first video.
It's great to hang out with you today.
Looking forward to it.
Any videos or particular moments that stood out to you that you may have remembered over the past year? Gangnam Style, maybe, Harlem Shake. The hangout that we did with President Obama, which Ramya was an instrumental part of putting together. Some really important moments, and hopefully this just goes to articulate, or goes to show how important online video is to curating and creating those social conversations. Like I said, though, you'll notice that in all of these videos that there's a bit more interactivity than what one may imagine that they could get from, say, a traditional sort of cable media entertainment experience. And as I said before, when we look at some of the growth metrics on our platform, we're finding that the majority of that growth is coming from our younger audience, as articulated by some of the events that have been most popular on our platform. So actually, over the past year, we've been doing a lot of research where we actually go into the field and talk to our most active users about why they watch video online. And hopefully, this video that will roll can start to kick off some thoughts in your head around what it means to be relevant and interesting to this demographic. Because ultimately, hopefully, it'll actually inform some of your strategies. So we'll roll that video.
We're the instant gratification generation, and YouTube is that perfect source for that.
I got to know what's going on every single day.
If you think about movies, right? In the beginning, they were just, people got everything from the movie theater. There'd be a newsreel and a cartoon before the picture. That's what YouTube presents, but with this dynamic aspect of choice.
I don't care if it's shot with a professional camera. I want the information I'm watching to be engaging.
After I've shared a video, I like to see if people watched it or see what they thought about it.
I love my guy friends, but I don't connect with them. And after I watch College Humor for like about an hour, I feel like I'm ready to be somebody's bro.
Not only do I have a chance to look at the content, but then I can tell them what I thought of it. That interaction maybe is a big component for me.
YouTube's more community-based than television. We have conversations and comments.
It's more relatable because they don't have like a whole chain of command to probably like go through to like put out this content.
Oh, should I not share her video? So that's like, oh, she posted it. And I noticed 148,000 people shared that video. So I didn't feel bad sharing it as well.
I'm creating to share with people.
People have always been creative, but the means to get that message out there is more accessible.
It's a good way to learn about languages too. Like currently I'm trying to learn French, so I've been going on YouTube. My French is very bad. I'm still learning. Je ne parle français, which means I'm not good at French.
YouTube, I feel, is a book full of possibilities that never ends. You can find anything you want on YouTube.
So a couple of points that always stick out to me when I'm watching that video. The quality of the video isn't important, it's just that the video is interesting. A lot of our most popular channels on our platform actually started via young people in their bedrooms or living rooms in front of their webcams. And that level of relatability, interactivity, and two-way connection that creator of content has with their audience is unmatched. So when our audience is coming to consume content on YouTube, that's what they're looking for, is to be part of a conversation. Hopefully that came across with some of those interviews that we did. So a couple of best practices that I'll share in line with what the other panelists shared earlier. The first one is around creating a channel. So the concept of having a brand on YouTube happens via a YouTube channel. How many of you have YouTube channels today? Awesome, okay. Quite a few of you. So the channel is where you actually curate the video that your office or agency uploads. So as I said, we have 100 million hours of video being uploaded. It's a lot of content. That said, it's important that content is curated in a way that's easily digestible. So a couple of things to think through as you actually create that channel experience. One is to have a very clear brand identity, right? Our viewers are watching a lot of content at any given time. So important that they know why they should come to your channel. If they have, say, 50 channels to choose from at any given time, that could consist of everything from staying up to speed on the latest entertainment news to politics. What value do you add to the conversation? The next piece is around optimization. So we're actually the world's second largest search engine after Google now. So before any of the others. And really important that as you're providing us with that awesome video, that our system actually understands what that video is and can surface it effectively across our site. We surface a lot of video actually in those related spots that you may have seen as you're watching other video on YouTube. Some of you may have ended up down a rabbit hole where you watch one video and then you see another cool video over here, you click on that, and you click on another one, and then you realize that you just spent 3 hours watching 2-minute-long videos on YouTube. Well, that's actually how we drive a lot of viewership on YouTube. So important that you're giving us enough information about your videos so that we can also surface your videos in those spots. And then the final piece here is around audience engagement. So as I said before, YouTube is really about two-way dialogues, and Google Plus is very much a part of how we're evolving the platform. And things like Google Plus Hangouts and live streaming are really great ways to make your audience feel as though they're part of the conversation. We support comment streams on YouTube and are further integrating those with Google Plus as well. So thinking about how you can ensure that audience feels as though they're able to contribute to whatever you're uploading. And then just a few particular features that we've recently launched that I think are really exciting for this group. One is a feature called Top Fans that actually will give you insight into who your most loyal audience members are, who's watching your content the most, and allows you to actually communicate with them directly. So if you have particular influencers in your community that are advocates around a certain issue, this is a great way to identify A, who they are, and B, actually include them in the conversation. Maybe you invite them to a hangout that you're hosting. Maybe you actually ask for their feedback before you post a video. The next piece is live streaming, which I just mentioned a couple of seconds ago. We actually provide live streaming to all of our partners that have over 100 subscribers now, and all government agencies, actually. So you don't even have to have 100 subscribers to live stream now. And it's a completely free technology that allows you to live stream any event on your channel. Whether it's a member of a city council giving a weekly update on what's relevant in your office that week, or it's a live stream of a committee or board meeting. And then the final thing that I would call out, which Jordan also mentioned, was around analytics. Analytics, of course, are a very hot topic in our respective ecosystems. We provide a really robust set of analytics through just a tool called YouTube Analytics that will give you insight into how your audience is finding your videos, how long they're staying. So we actually will tell you where people are dropping off and what's boring to them, and where they're rewinding and actually watching something again. And also metrics around how they're sharing content and how how community-driven specific pieces successes on the platform. So those are a few recommendations. I know I saw a sign indicating that we're almost at time. So I will turn it all over to our great host now.
We have 6 minutes for questions. I could listen to these four talk all day. How about the rest of you? I mean, let's give them a really, really warm round. I know we're all in Generation C. We're all in the 18 to 34 demographic, or at least in our minds we are. But many of us have children in that demographic. So let's get a couple of questions, and as many as we can in 6 minutes. Who has a question? All the way in the back.
I was interested in some of the comments that were made earlier about ways that meetings can be live streamed or use hangouts to broadcast meetings. And I'm thinking about the fact that people that are on city councils, special districts who need to get the work that they're doing in front of the public in ways that you guys might be able to help with that.
Okay, so that is Sabrina Brennan, elected San Mateo County Harbor Commissioner, and she was particularly interested in finding out about live streaming for city council meetings, special district meetings. So who would like to?
I can
any
kick
one
it
of
off.
you want to
kick it off?
Yeah. So we have a completely free and easy to use live streaming offering on YouTube. You may have seen a few months back that we announced that we provide live streaming to every member of the U.S. Congress, and that was just part of a broader announcement we were making about expanding access. Many members of Congress are now using live streaming to either provide a firsthand account of a committee meeting or a hearing, or they're just setting up a webcam in a representative's office, and as I said before, doing, like, say, a weekly update. But the technology is totally free, and in terms of getting in touch with us to have it activated, you can email us at government@youtube.com. So government@youtube.com. If your channel already has 100 subscribers, we can automatically activate it for you. If you're just getting started and you don't yet have 100 subscribers, just shoot us a note, and we send over a simple agreement that allows us to actually distribute your content through a live stream, and we can set it up. There's a number of free tools that you would need to tap into to actually manage the technical components of encoding an event, and the guys in this booth over here that are running this event can probably speak much better to that point. But YouTube live streaming is really about that kind of one-way distribution of information from content provider to viewer. When you're looking to foster more of a two-way dialogue, that's when Google Plus Hangouts come into play. So Ramya can give an overview of when Hangouts can be a good fit.
So, I mean, really quickly, if you want to bring voices from many different places into the conversation, a Hangout is a good opportunity. It's not just two-way, it could actually be up to 10-way. So that's pretty exciting. There's also a feature called Q&A you might want to look into. It's actually an app that you can have on the side of a Hangout where people can ask questions during a town hall and then vote on the ones that they like the best by +1ing different questions or comments. And then a moderator on your end can kind of highlight the ones that you want, like, your representative or your organization to answer. And so you can actually bring a lot more voices into the discussion through text in that Q&A app, is what we call it. And then the only other thing I would say is that, I'll let you in on a little secret, and that is that, we use Hangouts all the time here at Google because we're a global company and we want to get in touch with folks. So, if you are also just day-to-day working with people remotely, it's a wonderful way to stay in touch and share documents and show YouTube videos.
So we have time for one more question, and I think that's Michael. Yeah, hi.
My question is, social media is really fragmented. And how, as political positions, how do we get to the Twitter folks, the Google folks, the Facebook folks, the Instagram? You talk about generations. Each generation is using different platforms. There's a lot to keep up on, and we have to stay active. So, what advice do you provide? And right now, there's three social medias being discussed here, but there are other social medias that are out there. That first list that we saw. How do we integrate all of this?
So Michael Barber is an elected school board member, as well as he is in Supervisor Pine's office. And who would like to?
Can I jump in really quick? Yeah. And actually, this ties us back to that first question. Sabrina, this is going to make our world a little smaller here. But I actually follow Sabrina on Facebook. I've never met you before, and I don't even think I can vote for you because I don't think I live in that district. But I follow her because she has such amazing information that she shares, and whether it be information or opinions or just general education about what's going on with the things that she's involved with. And one of the reasons I love following her so much is because I can be better educated by that. But if she were to take the things that she's saying and she were to live stream it on Google Plus and put that on YouTube, I wouldn't necessarily know unless she told her Facebook community. So that is a great way for her to tie in those networks together. She can go to Facebook and she can let everybody know, hey, I'm going to have this live stream. Please come join the conversation so that we can have that dialogue. Or if you miss a live stream, go to YouTube. The archive video is there. And also, if she has a Twitter account, she can broadcast that to the audience as well. Let people know that, hey, I'm going to be on Google Hangout at this time. Please join us. Or even take advantage of the paid opportunities. Use the Twitter ads or Facebook ads and really let people know broadly that these things are happening. And the great thing about the advertising, if you are going to venture into the paid part of social media is that it's very inexpensive. I mean, it's like pennies to the dollar, and you get an amazing return on the amount of eyes that take a look at that. So that's one way that you can tie all the networks together. While you might be using one platform as your central place for information, you could be using all the other platforms to drive the traffic there and get the greatest audience that you can.
And Kriselle, I'm going to, in closing and thanking this panel, I also know through conversations with them that many of us as elected officials, we have a number of constituents out there that have opinions, as do we, on pretty much any type of issue that we're faced with. But there's multiple opinions, and then there's usually just one set of facts. There's facts on whatever topic, or at least that most of us believe that there's one set of facts. So if there was not factual information up there, I know that you on each of your various sites provides information on how we contact you and have some of that deleted, because we've all been called certain things on all of the different opportunities up there. So people feel free to use all of them. So I know that that's available.
Yeah, absolutely. I think each of our sites has a flagging process. Actually, you're sitting in our headquarters, so just upstairs. We have a team that's actually manually reviewing complaints or issues being flagged 24 hours a day. We get back to all of those same day. So just do a search for YouTube Safety and Abuse Center, and you can absolutely flag this.
I think it goes for Facebook.
Yeah, and also for Facebook pages, if you go into the page settings, you can there's a place to have a filter for curse words. So there's like a strict and a moderate and off. And then there's also a place where you can put words that just cannot be put on the page, period. So if someone is continually breaking kind of your rules, then that's one thing. And finally, we often recommend for pages that if there are things that can't be talked about, so for instance, for an official page, you can't be talking about elections and campaigns on your official page, you can put a comments policy on your about section, and then you can enforce it based on that. So if you're going to delete someone's comment, it's nice for them to be able to refer to the about section to see why their comment was deleted, rather than just have the experience of having it deleted and feeling like they were not heard or they were purposefully censored. So that's one thing. You'll see a lot of the members of Congress will have good examples of that. But yeah.
This has been very helpful. We have about a 10-minute break right now before we begin the next section. So please let's give our panelists a great round.